Hello everyone, my name is Jeff and I'm a content producer with NASEF, and today I'm talking with Rene Barge, who does game development and esports at Miami Springs Senior High School. And today we're going to talk about his esports club, namely how he got involved, what he's teaching, and about his students' experiences. So to begin with, can you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your role at Miami Springs High School?
Hello, everyone. My name is Rene Barge. I am the magnet lead teacher at Miami Springs Senior High School. The program within a school that I've pioneered and been running for many years now is called iTech Academy. And we are a game development academy. And we also do esports and robotics because we can't have enough fun.
That's awesome. So going on, what is scholastic esports to you?
Well, scholastic esports to me has been evolving, and it's been evolving quite rapidly. Uh, we've been building unique video games for many years now. We started doing it probably in around 2000 officially in the classroom in about 2008. We refurbished a bunch of old computers. Me and an engineer from the district that I had retired and I haven't seen in a while. We refurbished a ton of Apple computers, and we fitted them with Adobe Photoshop. We had Adobe Illustrator in there. We had Adobe Dreamweaver, which was called, I think, Macromedia. It might have been called Macromedia, and Adobe Flash. And it was primarily in our class, and they wanted to have students do more computer programming in the schools. That not enough students were doing computer programming or actually doing any type of really novel technologies at the time.
Okay.
And it's hard to believe this was 2005. That's how I wound up teaching. I came into teaching through a grant from the National Endowment of the Arts to introduce media, more advanced and more challenging forms of media, and engage students. And so when I asked students if they wanted to code, because I did have some experience in computer programming, nobody wanted to computer program. It was like, no way, that's not sexy, don't want to be a part of that. That's too hard, all the things, right? So of course the natural question was, well, who wants to make a video game? And of course at that point everybody hands blow up. Everybody wants to make a video game. And I was like, well, we're gonna have to do some computer programming then, and it was like, no problem, computer programming, yeah, we all want to computer program, right? And so that's how it started. We started making video games, okay, and naturally, as we made video games, which that time, I mean, it wasn't terrible, but making video games with Flash was very challenging for 9th, 10th, and 11th and 12th graders. ActionScript was not it really isn't an easy language to start off with when you have no computer programming experiences. But I mean, that's what I was there for. So we made our own video games. We worked in teams, and they were pretty direct, space shooters,
Like
puzzle
something
games.
like asteroids or something?
Yeah, asteroid, Space Invader, type of fusions,
Mm-hmm.
puzzle games, things that would be very easy and manageable. And as the students evolved and became more interested, I saw that there was an interest in them, making video games and testing them. Testing video games is part of the making process, right? And so they were testing their games, and they were liking this game better than other. That became a competition. The best games turned into tournaments, and by 2007 and 8, we were hosting tournaments within the classroom. But of course, this was all really hush hush. The principal that hired me at the time did not want me making video games in the classroom, and he said, I don't care what you do. And this was his exact words. I was new to teaching. He was, I don't want anything but video games. I don't care if you give them one project that lasts the whole year long. Okay, keep them busy. And I was like, well, making a video game in high school will take a whole year.
Yeah.
And of course, me being new and having my own life experiences, sometimes it's better to ask for forgiveness than ask for permission. So I said, well, if we get caught making video games, um, we'll have to just ask for forgiveness. And of course, people got wind of it. And it was like, are you kidding me? The kids are making their own unique products. They're full on. They're learning the code. They're coming out with industry certifications in using Flash for animation.
That's awesome.
It was like, everybody's like, don't stop the guy. Just let him keep going. And I kept going. The only thing I did was keep the tournament part quiet.
Mm-hmm.
Because that was something that I felt could get me into a lot of trouble,
Okay.
and one of the things I've learned in all my years of education is if you don't bother the people above you, don't have them have to answer to parents and this and that or the other. And there was a certain amount of fear that I was dealing with, and I didn't want to ruin what was a good thing. So tournaments evolved. We did all kinds of tournaments in there. I'm not going to go through the list of games that we played because they were never authorized or anything. The tournaments got larger and larger, and about 5 years ago, I would say about five school years ago, we decided to turn them into whole school fundraisers, because what was happening is that the day before we went on major holiday breaks,
Mm-hmm.
Thanksgiving was a 4-day weekend. Then that Friday before or that Wednesday, I would say, that Wednesday before or Tuesday before we broke, the schools were empty. And the kids that came to school all wound up in my classroom. And my classroom became this massive online platform, because at this point, I had gone from 25 computers to a lot of computers.
That's awesome.
More than the state would allow, but better to ask for forgiveness, right?
Yeah.
Because, hey, I'm facilitating kids with amazing opportunities. Anyways, these tournaments evolved into whole school fundraisers where the kids were doing, practicing. Basically, what we did was developed an enterprise around the whole school tournaments, where the kids managed ticket sales, designed ticket sales, design T-shirts, design posters, manage social media, and all of it, being very carefully. And by this time, we were getting the principal's blessings, because there was already so much evolution. We're talking about from basically from 2005,
Mm-hmm.
2008, we start making video games, and it's like 2014. Schools winning tons of awards nationally, and as long as we weren't going to get in trouble, it was fine. And we kept the games clean. Obviously, we weren't battling Halo in the classroom. It
Mm-hmm.
was, we didn't have to. When the surveys went out, it was Smash Bros. Everybody, Mario Kart, Smash Bros, Just Dance. And you had kids that wanted to do games that might, perturb
Mm-hmm. Get
some
flagged.
in our community. It might get flagged, right? And but there was it was a minority. I was really I'm still surprised to this day that I have a whole room that is just dance, right? And they dance from 8 in the morning until 2 o'clock in the afternoon, nonstop, right? And they're dancing and they're judging each other. And so we're talking about logistics. We're talking about, it's a complete enterprise. And I came out of the industry. I knew what it was to do a production in the entertainment industry. My family pioneered the entertainment industry here in Miami, Florida. So I was part of that natural evolution from passive entertainment, which was TV
Mm-hmm.
and movies, to active entertainment, which was video games, right? And what it's become now. And so scholastic esports, up to relatively recently, was managed at the school. We're talking 300 kids. The tournaments went from like once a year to before Thanksgiving. Now, before Thanksgiving, before the holiday New Year break, before spring recess, and 2 days of school. And it includes cosplay, and it includes the math club. that handles all the financing, all the logistics, all the bracketing, to the DECA Club that handles all of the design, to the hospitality and tourism that handles the concession stands and the lunch, which is a partnership with an entity here. We have a partnership with one of the restaurants here in town, and it is a massive business experience, and they raise funds. They use the funds to do even more fundraising, which takes them to tournaments that are local, statewide, and national tournaments. It has completely funded the robotics club, which is Vex EDR, and anybody that does Vex EDR knows that Vex EDR is a money pit, but it is a very good, valuable money pit because the kids are getting engineering, valuable skills, competitive skills. I mean, it's a banger. It is a massive a package that where all aspects of learning in school, whether it's the language arts, whether it's some kind of history, whether it's social sciences, mathematics, everything is applied, right? And we've been doing this since 2000, maybe 14, under the radar. And then NASEF came along, and the district, I was the go-to person. What do you think of this? Because everybody knows that I've been doing this for a long time. I mean, I've had Florida Mayhem and my school visit the kids. They've been to our tournaments. The Heat Check team has been. Everybody knows that our school is like the center of gaming. And esports at this point is like, well, everybody knew, but everybody was quiet about it because, I mean, as long as nobody was getting in trouble, you couldn't back down from this monstrous package, right? So NASEF lands into the district. I said, guys, this ecosystem is the way forward. I mean, I've been doing it for years. I'm finding out that everybody knows I've been doing it for years. And I can attest that all of the evaluations that have come out of my lab, out of my program, and have been nationally recognized, and get nationally recognized every year, has been successful. So don't turn your back on this. It's a very positive model. And very important to our community in Miami, which is an incredibly multicultural, diverse community, is that it is inclusive to everybody. Everybody can be involved in gaming. I mean, if I wanted to be a football player when I was in high school, it would be impossible. Why?
I'm well aware of this. I'd have the same problem too.
I'm skin and bones, and I go running in the opposite direction if I'm going to get tackled, right? But with esports, I can become a pro football player, right? I can become that pro basketball player.
Yeah.
And that's what it's evolved into. I mean, scholastic esports is that. It is a massive platform, right? At this point, we can reference the NASEF ecosystem that targets real world skills that, address all of the students' portfolio and resume needs in high school, and they can hit the ground running. And I have them hitting the ground running, getting summer paid internships and secured paid internships in the summer with the resume that is wrapped around the esports. Add the video games that you make. Of course, we don't make them with Flash anymore. We use Unity now. We're programming in C#. And in some cases, for some of my students, add the robotics, and you have like this nugget of a young person ready to be invested in, whether it's in a job in the market or it's a university or a college.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's a really good way to kind of move into internships, because you mentioned this a lot in the webinar you did with us, that you have a heavy focus on getting internships for your students. Can you expand a little bit more on why you find that so important?
Okay, yeah, and it goes back to we just left off. You go to school, right? And you got hundreds of kids graduating every year in your school. Then add all of the high schools in your district. Then add all of the high school students in your state. And then add all of the high school students in the country. and you got millions of kids. What value does your grade have? It's economics 101. They're all graduating. They're all graduating with the same A in this class, in that class, a B, a C, or a D, or whatever it is that you're graduating with, right? But if you don't have substance, and at this day and age, a product, something that you can showcase, right, through a portfolio and a resume. What did you do with your math? What did you do with your science? What did you do with your economics class? What did you do with your art class? I mean, the list goes on and on, right?
Yeah.
You feel me? What did you do with all these classes? And you open up your portfolio, okay? Right? And you show them, this is what I've done, right? Now, your grades are no longer important, right? It's like, whoa, this person's got skill.
It's like you ran an esports tournament in your district.
Yeah, you are running an enterprise. You have all of these skills. You are employable. You know, I want you, right? And so when you apply, for example, NASEF's ecosystem, right? Or the ecosystem that goes around game development and consuming esports, right? Because that's the beauty of this, right? I'm not just this one thing. I'm production and consumption. The child is completely wrapped in both, right? You apply that to the child into a portfolio and a resume. That child is ready to go. That child might be in 9th grade, moving into 10th grade. Somebody in the community wants this child on board to give him or her or it or whatever, you know, however you identify yourself, opportunity, because you are valued, right? You're going to sustain a business, right? And they're going to sustain you with growth during the summertime, which is a terrible time to not be doing anything, right? I mean, we call it the summer slide in education. If you don't continue learning, if you don't continue applying yourself during the summertime, you fall back. And you don't just fall back for the 2 months that it's summer, you fall back exponentially depending on who you are, the individual, right? So you got to give that child an opportunity to get an internship. And your grades alone aren't going to do it, you know? You say, yeah, well, you got a great GPA, but, you know, can you tell me about yourself? Well, I can do this, that, or the other. Well, can you show me what you can do? And when the kids come out with we create PowerPoint presentations of all of our tournaments in the school. We have portfolios and resumes of all the products that we produce. It's pretty stunning. And just, you know, you start with one leg up and another leg up and another leg up. And, you know, I'll have students, well, mister, you know, what, you know, why does everything have to be so competitive? And I said, well, hold on a second. I'm not trying to suggest that you have to be ready in life to go make a ton of money. Money isn't going to buy you happiness. But here's what is going to buy you happiness in life. Waking up in the morning and having the opportunity to do what you want to do. What's going to make you happy. There's nothing worse than having to wake up in the morning to do something that you dread or don't want to do or are half invested in. Or you're there, but you're thinking about something else that you'd rather be doing. So what you're doing is you're setting yourself up, you're setting the child up, you're facilitating the children up for this happiness in life, to be able to pursue happiness. And it could be in the gaming industry, but with these skills, if, you know, people change, they can start in the gaming industry and move on to something else. They can pioneer, they can take their skills and develop companies. Sky's the limit.
That's awesome. No, I love what you're doing to set your students up for success. But one thing, and I've had experience with this myself, is a good internship versus a bad internship that's a waste of time. And I believe you had some thoughts on this.
Well, yes, absolutely. And again, anything can happen in life, right? Certainly, I've had students land internships where they've come back and they've been like, whoa, it was just, I was in a camp setting where I'm supposed to be helping the students learn to make video games or learn to build robots or apply STEAM, and I just spent most of the time babysitting them. And so certainly there's been opportunities that have turned out to be not so good, right? When something like that happens, right? I ask the child, okay, first let's take a look at what your resume looks like and what your experiences are. Maybe you wound up in not so good of a place because you need to work on growth, right? It could be your confidence. So I start with conversations. Let's figure out how we landed there, okay? I'll take this one student as an example. Okay, we figure out that maybe that there's opportunity for growth and there's an opportunity to make yourself stronger, and that maybe your soft skills need some improvement. Maybe you need to develop more confidence. So a negative experience becomes an opportunity to empower yourself, right? And then I say to the student, the next question is, okay, let's try to extract and make a list of all the positive things from your experience.
Okay.
So what happened while you were babysitting? Was there any opportunities where you actually were able to help the child build something? You know, maybe this student was overseeing elementary school students, right? It could be tough to manage, right?
Yeah.
Oh, it's okay. Oh, so you were all right. So here we are in the conversation. You're in a summer camp. It's a robotics summer camp for elementary school students. Incredibly challenging situation that you're in. Ka-chink, that goes on the positive side. You are now a leader. You're a high school student leading elementary school students.
Okay.
What was the age range? Oh, mister, they were anywhere between 4 and 8 years old. Oof, those are really young kids, man. Those are the toughest ones to manage. You know, perfect. Let's not think of it as elementary school. Let's think of it as 4th grade through 8th grade.
Okay.
Right. Let's just look at the age range, right? Maybe 4 years old to 8. Let's extract the positive. And suddenly, maybe this negative experience, right, had roles in it that the child can use, right, positively. So now this poor child that came out of thinking, I just babysitted all these kids all summer, still I couldn't wait to go home. I says, okay, this is past us. This goes on your resume and your portfolio as a leadership position in the community. You not only got paid, right, for it, right, but you were also a leader mentoring and teaching 4 to 8 years old at the age of 15. That's crazy. I mean, that is powerful. Whoa, mister, you know. So yes, students can have negative experiences, right? But when we come back at the end of the summer, we forget about the negative experiences. Let's focus on the positive stuff. Put it on the portfolio and the resume, right? Use our interview as an opportunity for growth moving forward. Because then the positive side is like next year, you know, somebody offers you a position to now you can ask the question, what are going to be my job duties? You know, maybe I need to be in a position that's going to be maybe more demanding. What do you mean more demanding, Mr.? Well, this is part of, you know, and it's part of scaffolding, and it's part of exercising your soft skills, which is having confidence, building confidence. Sometimes we gotta, you know, we learn as much from failure and the school of hard knocks in life than we do from our most pleasant and wonderful and ecstatic experiences.
I think that's a really great way to look at what we call like a poor internship, is looking at those positives and twisting them into, or showing how they can be really good experiences. And I think that's great that you're teaching that to your students. I know a lot of people could probably use that same advice.
Absolutely, yeah. It's the other thing is, like, I've never had a game design student, right? You know, a student in my program I've never had a student come to me and say, well, I wound up getting an internship at the zoo and I had to like pick up after. No, your qualifications are for to be contextualized, right, in places that are relevant. And you're going to learn from them, no matter how terrible the experience is. It's a learning experience. There's plenty of positivity to our most negative experiences in life. There's tons to extract from, tons to learn from.
Cool. And then I want to shift slightly to content creation now, because this is also a big part of your program where you focus on the content creation in personal lives and how it can be inspired in the classroom. Why the heavy focus on content creation?
Well, I think that content, coming from the professional side into the public sector. So I'm going to give you a little bit of my own history,
Mm-hmm.
right? I was born into a family that pioneered the film industry in Miami. Big responsibility for shaping what Miami has become. My dad was a lobbyist in the film industry. It was natural for me to gravitate to the arts. I've been in the arts and entertainment industry my whole life. I've worked in it, okay? And there were times in my life where I thought I wanted to do the one thing, right? So I'm going to now move it forward to perhaps my students' perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Mister, I'm going to make video games for a living. I know this is what I want to do. I am passionate about it. Let's hit the ground running. Over time, they make video games. But over time, people change and they mature. They might not want, they might come in thinking this one thing, right? And realize that maybe it's not the one thing that they want to do. Well, you know, maybe this isn't for me, okay? Can I take my skills someplace else? Absolutely. Video game development and video game consumption go hand in hand. And there are a myriad of opportunities for you career-wise, okay? Maybe you love making video games. Maybe you love playing video games. Maybe you're the kid that comes in and can't stay focused. Like, I get into this video game for a month and I master it and I'm on to something else. Well, that's the point where you say, hey, you know, have you thought of unboxing games? Right? Have you thought of making a YouTube channel for yourself? Have you thought of curating your identity? You know, you got a lot of style. You're into fashion, you're into, you know, can we start thinking about maybe exploring creating an identity out of yourself, right? And being this persona, right? A media persona that televises your personal experiences, one game after the other. Don't, you know, mister, you know, this is awesome. I really want to try this, you know. And you might find out that the child later on comes back like, you know, 6 months later, like, mister, I don't want to make my video game anymore. I just want to focus on delivering content, my experience. And perfect. Because I've been there in the entertainment industry. And I started in the film industry. And I worked with a lot of people that wanted to make music videos. I made music videos for a lot of bands that are popular today in indie music. I line produced very popular rap artists that, you know, I've worked with people in movies and in episodics, right? And I've played a role in every single part of the industry, right? And when it was time to make a switch, I was at a point where the natural evolution was to move out of filmmaking and move into gaming. A lot of my peers left Florida and went to California and became writers. They thought they were going to be movie makers. Guess what? They're writing storylines, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the people who thought they were going to be carrying around these huge 35 millimeter cameras, right, and being cinematographers on sets are working in studios with teams, you know, of people, and they're creating the worlds that we play online. And so we think when we're young that we have this idea about ourselves, right? I certainly went through that. You went through that. Everybody goes through that. And so the purpose of content creation in my context is to offer as many opportunities as possible for the child, right? Whether it's producing or managing an enterprise that puts on these tournaments in which everybody has a role, right? Whether it's managing the website for that, whether it's just the illustrations, whether it's, you know, I love all this stuff, but you know, I'm the introvert, you know, I love being here, but I don't, you know, I don't like to talk to people, but you're great at math.
Mm-hmm.
So run the numbers for us, do the bracketing for us. You can be one of the most important people in the industry. Just simply analyzing data, coming up with ideas and plans, handing it over to somebody who is maybe not an introvert, who likes to be out talking in it. And that person goes, takes that data and sells it to people, sells it to the team. So when the team, you know, it could be an NBA team, right? I mean, I know for sure that the NBA Czech team has a team of guys that's just constantly analyzing data, analyzing plays, analyzing possibilities.
Mm-hmm.
Hand it over to the coach goes over to the team, and the team and the coach strategize, right? Maybe you're a student, and I have a lot of these guys because I'm a pretty physical guy. I like to work out. I work out with some of my students. Hey, maybe you want to be a nutritionist, right? And because you're into being physical, you're into what you eat. Maybe your thing is to be a coach for some of these you know, small teams, and your responsibility is to make sure that they're on the right nutritional track, so they're not dumb monkeys, you know, looking like potatoes on a couch, which are worthless to a team, right? I mean, you could be that person too. I'm not judging. I'm just saying that a lot of teams in the industry have personal fitness trainers and nutritionists, right? I got students in my classroom that have a huge leaning towards they're taking the AP psychology class, and I'm saying, guys, you know, and when I say guys, it's just a force of habit. I'm addressing everybody. I'm like, you know, you can be a psychologist in the gaming industry. And, you know, the eyes light up. Like, really? I'm like, yeah. You know?
So I absolutely love this, because this kind of was one of my questions, is like, there are so many aspects of esports that students don't think about, and you've touched on so many of them, like nutritionists, chefs, psychologists, strategists. Why do you think there's never, like, they don't make this connection? And because you help them make this connection, I think that's really important.
Well, I can make that connection because I've gone through it in my personal life. Okay. So I know it firsthand, right? And I know that it exists because I'm out there in the industry all the time, and I see it, right? But when you're a child, right, that's just consuming and just taking an interest and not just being a consumer but being a producer, you're not aware of these things, and their parents aren't certainly aware of it, you know, because the mainstream doesn't really make this accessible, you know. Nobody wants to talk about how a team, what's behind the scenes, right? There's no time for that, man. We just want to see them play.
You want the players, you want the coaches, and then you want the analysts, and you're done.
Yeah, and product. give me product. And most people don't know what goes into the designs, for example, of the new Air Jordans, right? You got new Air Jordans that just came out. People can't wait for the lockdown to go away. You can't get them online. The shoe stores or something. I got to get to a shoe, whatever it takes to get these new shoes, right? They're not thinking, and certainly the mainstream is not making it accessible to the consumer, what goes on behind the scenes. So it's our responsibility as a community of educators, which is, I mean, and that's where NASEF is like a banger, right? It's a community of educators that are getting their eggheads together in this big basket, right? And we're talking about these things like I'm talking now, and we're working on making it more accessible, because we need to be taught things, we need to learn things, you know. And it could be, and going back to content creation, you know, the next thing, like, hey guys, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm going to create a YouTube channel, and I'm no longer going to be a personality, right? I'm no longer going to be a persona in the classroom. Of course my head would roll if I did this, right? But let's suppose I could totally shut my role as the educator in the classroom down and become a YouTube personality, where my job is to go around and begin, you know, I could be the Nardwar. If anybody knows who Nardwar is, I could be like the Nardwar of esports, where I just go around, you know, asking gamers, you know, pro gamers, what did you eat today? You know, and suddenly, well, tell me, really, you and you know, what shoes are you? Those are cool shoes. What are you wearing? Ooh, wow, those are nice. I wonder what went into making these shoes. Pan to, you know, the whole process of creating shoes. So it has to be brought out and made accessible, you know. And so that's why going back to content creation, that's why content creation is so important to me, because that 100, 200 kids think they're all going to make video games, and you might find out that maybe you just want to play a different role because this is more fun to you, uniquely to you. Because going back to what I said earlier, it's about waking up in the morning or waking up at night or whenever you wake up to be productive and being happy about what it is that you're going to do. You gotta be excited about what you're going to do.
I love it that you're just pulling back that curtain. It's great. And to kind of go with that, I mean, I imagine you're seeing a lot of interest from students who may not normally have had interest in this kind of thing with this program.
Yeah, yes, definitely. Yeah, and surprise, surprise, it's a lot of work. A lot of them come in and they think they're gonna sit at a desk. You know, it's like first period it's math, second period PE, third period I play video games all third period, and then it's lunch. My life rocks, you know. And it's like there's, you know, it's more to the idea, right? That fogs everything else, is that you're just going to be playing video games all day, and no, it's not like that. You know, the kids, they take an interest, and you slowly have to figure out who they are, what are they interested in, have the conversation with them, and let's get to work by trial and error. Because you don't know whether you're going to like something or not unless you try it. You got to try it.
Yeah.
You know? And if you fail miserably, that's okay. You know that this isn't for you. You'll know it. I know it. And we'll try something else. Right? But even still, at the end of the day, when you have a resume, right, that is 1 page long, right? Or you have one that is a cascading style sheet of every experience that you've had in high school, designing, selling, motivating, coaching, strategizing, bracketing. I mean, you're unstoppable at that point. And that is the goal, to make you as robust and here's a big word, as agile as possible. Agility is the most important thing for me, and that's why I pulled back the curtain, because when suddenly it's like, there's all these things, right? And it's overwhelming, and you're bouncing around from one thing to another. It's not lateral, it's not this zenith, and it's spongy form, and it's rhizomes, right, that are just splintering out, right? It's a massive system, and you got to locate yourself in one place or in various places. And who knows, maybe you're the guy like me that manages all of those places for everyone. And then, cycles of death and rebirth occur. We have reincarnation. We have another teacher in the world, right, that continues the evolution for people like us, the lovers of the industry, right, the makers and the consumers.
I think that's great. Yeah, I mean, like, because advice I've always gotten from people I've asked is you need to be agile in the workplace, and if you can do more than one thing, you're always making yourself more valuable to your employer and more likely to get another job or keep your job or expand your role. So that's great. Now, final couple things. You talked a little bit about the soft skills, like the extra confidence that these students are gaining from your program. Are there any other harder soft skills you're seeing that your students are acquiring through your program that are really standing out to you?
Yeah, well, how to manage. So I'm going to go back to confidence, right?
Mm-hmm.
Confidence is really, really important. Being in entertainment my whole life, and I'm still in the classroom, and I'm also still in entertainment. Our perception of people in the entertainment industry can be tricky. We can see people maybe behaving one way, right, and think that is the person and the way to behave the whole time, right? You have to be able to have the confidence to have an identity or a persona. You have a personality, right? And then be able to manage it. When is the right time to dial it up? When is the right time to bring it down, right? When is it important to use slang? Right? When is it important to not use slang? When is it important to dampen down what could be extreme intellectual skills? Because I work with students that have, we're full-on geeks. I'm not judging, I'm just admitting.
Yeah.
I have one myself, right? So it's okay, right? How do you work that out in a way that's going to benefit you? Because being incredibly intelligent, being a genius you can send people running in the opposite direction, just like being very quirky, mm-hmm. which is part of my culture, right, can scare people off. So how do you balance all of that? Like, how are you agile in your hard skills? Can you engineer? Can you set goals? Can you ideate? Can you conceptualize? Can you plan your designs out? Can you communicate, right, without upsetting the people you need to communicate with, right? Can you keep them afloat so that you guys can compromise, right? Mm-hmm. So that agility that exists in hard skills, right, also exists in our soft skills, and you need to be able to utilize your psychology in a way where you can get away with as much as possible positively, right, and in a way that's healthy for you and for people you provide services for and their audiences, right? There's nothing worse than a resignation in life, So when it comes to soft skills, Having intrapersonal skills, having interpersonal skills is really important. And having agility to navigate the nuances in interpersonal and intrapersonal skills. And the other thing is that we're in the gaming community. This isn't the old world of sports where you better get out there on the field, you better kick that ball as hard as you can, or I'm going to come down on you and I'm going to turn your head inside out. You'll be using your eyes to walk and you'll be using your feet to think. That doesn't go well in esports, because what happens in esports is that esports is blurring all of that. You don't, in some instances, you don't know the person that's behind the veil that you're interacting with, and you I mean, our industry is arts and entertainment, and it is sports, and it is psychology. I mean, there's so much, and it is open to everybody, whether you are in a wheelchair, whether you're on the spectrum, right? And you have to be able to work with these people if you want to be happy and wake up in the morning and be a part of this wonderful world of gaming, right? Whether it's making it or whether it's selling it,
That's awesome. All right, final question is, what's been the most rewarding part of this experience for you?
Well, okay. I'm going to give you an aha moment that I had when we decided to make our in classroom tournaments school-wide tournaments. I said, listen to the students, I said, this can't be all me. We got to strategize this. We have to make this, and then there has to be learning value in it. If not, it's going to get shot down. And there's no way that I'm going to be able to take this to the leadership and say, give me permission. So I had a group and it was mostly girls at the time. I said, we need to create a program and we need to come up with a name. And these girls, they were all mostly girls. They were all female. They were all recipients of the National Center for Women in IT. They have aspirations in computing awards every year. This group of girls, sensational. They were winning these awards all the time. Well, the National Center for Women in IT have a program called Aspire IT for people who aspire in information technology, right? So one of them said, do you think that it would be okay, they would get upset if we called this Aspire STEAM? Because the conversations that we were having were that we were applying science, we were applying technology, engineering, art, math. We were applying all of the core into, which is what everybody knows as STEAM today, right? Into our tournaments, right? And so would it be okay if we called it Aspire STEAM? And I said, better to ask for forgiveness than ask for position. They call it Aspire IT. You call it Aspire STEAM. You can thank them for inspiring you. So I said, let's go with it. And so we called the enterprise. We still call it Aspire STEAM, aspiring to apply science, technology, engineering, art, and math. And I said, you guys are going to run this. I'll be there to put out fires as I always do, and have the conversations that we have. And we went with this. This is the first year that we did this and made it school-wide. And I said to them, and you're all going to have positions in Aspire STEAM, in addition to running the tournaments. And we're going to put this on your resume. And this is going to be, we're going to use this as a pipeline project to get you guys into school. Okay. These were mostly 9th, 10th grade students. Okay. And And that's how we got the okay from our leadership at the school. The principal said, yes, do it. Of course, this wasn't going to go outside of the school, right? Well, 4 years later, when these students start graduating, and this goes on their portfolios and resume, one of the girls comes back to me and she said, I'm having a problem between deciding whether to go to Cambridge or to go to Yale. I got full ride scholarships to both. And I sat down with her and I said, well, let's look at the map. Let's look at the map. I said, I've been to these places, but I always forget what's around there. Mm-hmm. So let's see what's around there, and let's see what you want to be. Oh, look at that. Look at where MIT is. Case closed. We know what school she's going to, right? And she came back and had a conversation with me and said to me that the reason that she had gotten accepted and gotten all the scholarship awards and everything that she got for it, right, was that the recruitment officer said that her resume stood out in one of the most outstanding ways that this recruitment officer had ever seen before. Now, I didn't ask if the recruitment officer was 70 years old and has been doing this forever. I don't know. Maybe the recruitment officer had only been there 1 or 2 years recruiting, right? Mm-hmm. I don't know what level of experience. But the recruitment officer said that it was, and this then went viral. I started asking the other students, what stood out? To ask your recruitment officer what stood out in your application process. And so it came back from all the students that they led this enterprise called Aspire STEAM, where they had all of these skills. They were not only making video games and learning the program and had made award-winning games and award-winning apps and were competing in robotics and winning in robotics and doing all the things that come along with their experiences, but that they had invested themselves and created this, what's become a pipeline project now, to moving kids through in learning and acquiring skills that were relevant and that they were interested in. And that to me was like, we hit a jackpot with this thing. And it has everything to do with trying to get, have an excuse to put on tournaments. Mm-hmm. And I knew the value that was in it. I'm aware of it, but I didn't know if anybody else was going to be that cognizant mm-hmm. of the value in this, in what's been applied for a couple of years in the classroom, and it was just actually given a name, and the students were given a leadership position, and all that stuff is in the ecosystem, in the NASEF ecosystem. That was like, I was like, wow.
I absolutely love it.
Use that as the vehicle to move kids through and get them into promising places.
Awesome. Well, that is all I have for you. I want to thank you very much for taking the time to talk with me today. Pleasure. It's been very educational for me and hopefully for everyone else. For all of you out there, stay tuned. We've got more interviews with teachers from Florida about their esports programs coming up soon. Have a good day, everyone.
Thank you.